Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning.
Hi everybody, Ezra Levant here. How you doing? It's February 10th already. I can't believe it. It's nice to have you here. What we're doing today, as we do every day at 12 noon Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, is we have a live stream. We just talk about the news of the day in an informal way. Sometimes we go down tangents. And sometimes we talk about social media posts. It's not scripted. I like taking your questions. In that way, it's like an old-time radio call-in show, but instead of on the radio, it's on the internets. And instead of phoning, you type it in what's called a super chat. You can make a regular chat, but if you want your chat to be super, and really, who wouldn't? Just throw a few bucks behind it and puts it in bright colors, and it's appended to the top of the chat box. And reason why we like the super chats is because YouTube actually shares 70% of the revenues with us, so it's a source of income after their demonetization. Now, I should tell you that in the last 2 minutes, as I've been sitting here squirming, I received some texts from our friend David Menzies, who says, "Hi Ezra, just got served by police." To protect and serve, but I guess in this case, serve means serve them with some legal papers. I said, did they say anything? Is there any footage? He says, and I'm just reading from my text, he says, "I filmed the encounter." He says, "They didn't say much other than I am forbidden from going back to this federal government quarantine facility." First confirmation of that. So I'd like to do two things, if I may, and I know this was not on our plans today. I would like to play for you probably half of the original video of David at the quarantine facility, and Mocha was there, and I'd say his editing is as important to this piece as David's reporting. It's such a beautiful production. It's so well told, the story, visually, the narrative arc. And David, of course, is incomparable. I don't know if you remember, but I think I told you, back in December we had our Rebel Awards. We called them the Rebbies. And David won the award for Best Pandemic Reporting, and it's, by a long shot, he's just great at it. So I'd like to show you some of that video. And then I said to David, I said, "Can you join us via Skype for an update?" And he said yes. So Justin, maybe while we're watching some of that, we can get David on the horn and get like a quick update. Like, it doesn't have to be long, like even just a 2-minute update, because I was just literally reading this moments ago before we started. So why don't we remind people what we're talking about, and then why don't we bring in David? And folks, can you do me a favor? Can you just click like and share, because I really want a lot of people to see this. So we're going to play about 4 minutes, 5 minutes of the quarantine video, and then we're going to bring in David live from his house. Can we do that? So I think that's what we're going to do. Thanks to everybody who's liking and sharing. I'm told that that's important for the algorithm to make the story come up in recommended videos and browsing, search, and things like that. I don't know about these things, so I just do what I'm told. Are you talking to David right now, I presume? He's talking to David right now. So let me just tell you, and we talked about this on Monday, we are suing the Toronto Police Service on behalf of 3 of our journalists. They're not on-camera journalists. Lincoln's done one video on camera. Mocha did one live stream, but Lincoln, Mocha, and Efron were assaulted by Toronto police. So we filed that lawsuit over the weekend, in fact. And it is no surprise to me that today the police presented David's house to serve him some ticket. The ones where the cops confront him, yeah. Okay, so we're going to play a little bit of that, and then we're going to try and link in with David in a couple minutes. This is just like literally unfolding in the last 5 minutes. So I'm interested in this. I've read to you everything I know from David's text to me. We're going to play about 5 minutes of vid for you to brief yourself, and then we're going to try and connect with David from his home. So here's the vid that we're talking about. Take a look.
unlike what Jamie told us last time,
Closed for construction.
it doesn't look like it's under construction.
Ask you for your identification for both of you,
Oh, why is that?
because you're going to be charged for trespassing right now.
I don't understand.
Failure to do so, you'll be placed under arrest.
Well, this is a hotel. It's open to the public. We were lied to saying it was under construction. And we've been told that the people here that are being incarcerated are being lied to, that they don't have to remain in this hotel. You know, I'd like to say to the police officers here that there is a crime being committed, and it's being committed by this hotel, by the people that are incarcerated in it. I don't know, kidnapping, forcible confinement. How's that for starters? I'm not going to cooperate. I've done nothing. I am just practicing journalism here.
You're going to get arrested then for failed to identify.
You're going
The Trespass Property Act.
Well, my name is David Menzies. I'm with Rebel News. Here's my news flash.
Your date of birth and address.
Remember how 4 months ago Justin Trudeau told us that this was a conspiracy theory. This was not going to happen.
Yeah, and I remember clearly a couple months ago, Randy Hillier, when he raised this at Queen's Park, he was mocked.
Where will these camps be built? How many people will be detained?
They laughed at him, but wow, it looks like he was prophetic. Hey, how you doing there?
I see you can stay on this side.
I gotta stay on this side? Okay. Is this hotel under construction? How you doing there? We're just with Rebel News. My name's David Menzies, and we're just gonna see if we could get a room for the night.
No, sorry.
No?
No, whole place is closed.
Why is it closed?
It's closed for construction.
Closed for construction. I see people in the windows.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. That's what it is.
Tell the truth! We love you, come on! It's a beautiful day! Love you, come out! You don't need to stay in there!
We're just gonna go and see if we can speak to somebody there, okay? Well, folks, we are in the, I guess, the foyer of the hotel, and lo and behold, there is the logo for Public Health Agency of Canada. So this has to be a quarantine hotel. Unlike what Jamie told us last time,
Closed for construction.
it doesn't look like it's under construction. I mean, they've done something to it. It looks like there's some kind of, I don't know, sterile holding facility here, but this hotel has been constructed, and there is some sort of a processing area here, and we just want to get some answers to our questions, but no one's going to open these doors and no one's going to come out, so we'll just head back out. By coincidence, shortly after we came here, a bunch of protesters, anti-lockdown types, have shown up, and they're, I think, doing a great public service with megahorns and signs. They are telling the people in this hotel that they can leave. They have rides standing by for them, and indeed it looks to us that there is no legal obligation for these people to stay here. Now, speaking of legal obligations, as you can see behind me, I think we're up to about 7 or 8 police cruisers. I mean, I feel like I'm at Young Dundas Square, for goodness sakes, and they were threatening to charge me with trespass. I think it's preposterous. I simply walked away. Maybe I'm going to end up in the back of a paddy wagon before the end of the day. But in the meantime, we're going to talk to these people who I think are doing a great service to these people who are being essentially held against their will, and held against their will for no valid reason. Let's see how this day pans out. Don't you think that we as Canadian citizens, we have a right to know how much the federal government is buying these rooms?
Thanks, Justin. I was looking at my phone for a minute there. Did we show his interaction with the police? Can we forward to that where the cop says, okay. Listen, sorry, just to bring the viewers up to speed, okay, so I want to show you, just to set the scene. One of the quarantine hotels, you can see some staff are lying. Oh, it's under construction. Obviously it wasn't. Stop lying. But that, a fish rots from the head down. If Trudeau lies, everyone under Trudeau says you lie. You just lie. It's important. I want to bring something to your attention because it's actually legally important. It's journalistically important. And of course, it's the truth, which is always important. And that is this. Remember when David walked into the hotel, into the foyer? He walked through, looks like one set of sliding doors, but not into the other. I think he called it the foyer, or whatever that little vestibule would be called. If it was on a space station, you would call it the airlock. He walks in there, he sees what's in the hotel, and he leaves. And may I note for you, and this is the point I want you to nota bene, which is no one said get out. No one said you're trespassing. No one talked to him at all, in fact. And that's important for what we're going to talk about for the Trespass Act, because that's what David's being charged under. And the police have lied. I know this is a shock to you. The police have lied and said that David was told he was trespassing, but you saw David walked into the airlock, the weather vestibule of the hotel, and there was no one there. No one talked to him at all. Nor were there any signs saying no trespassing at all. You saw with your own eyes. You had the one liar say it's under construction, but other than that. So can we play the interaction with the cop? Do you have that handy? And then we're going to go to David. So thanks everyone for your patience. I wanted to give you that background. This is one of these dark sites, these black ops sites that they're pretending don't exist, that they laughed. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, we don't have any quarantine hotels. You guys, are you with QAnon or something? No, actually that's a real quarantine hotel that is being run by the feds, and you saw people in the windows. So here's the cops talking to David and our cameraman, Mocha, and I think they did a great job. Take a look.
Your identification for both of you.
Oh, why is that?
Because you're going to be charged for trespassing right now.
Oh, why is that? We're on the other side of the...
Apparently you came in earlier prior to us getting here.
I was trying to get somebody on camera, sir, to talk about what's going on at the Radisson.
I respect that.
Okay.
In the meantime, you're going to have to both provide identification at this point.
Well, I don't understand.
Failure to do so, you'll be placed under arrest.
Well, this is a hotel. It's open to the public. We were lied to saying it was under construction. And we've been told that the people here that are being incarcerated are being lied to, that they don't have to remain in this hotel.
Yeah. Okay, so you're on body camera. Okay.
I'm happy to hear that. That's great. Okay, then.
Again, you're going to have to identify yourselves.
Okay, well...
To me?
Well, my name's David Menzies with Rebel News.
Identification we can see.
Okay, well, we're not in a vehicle, and we're not.
You've committed an offense of trespassing. Okay.
By going to the door of a public hotel.
Enter premises when entry is prohibited. You've already been advised in the past that you're prohibited from entering that place.
We were told this was a hotel under construction, and officer, there are people there. I can see a lady in the window on the 6th floor.
Not going to debate it.
Well, but how is this hotel that's open to the public an act of trespass if I'm inquiring about getting a room here?
I've advised you what you're going to need to do.
Pardon me?
I've advised you what you're going to need to do, which is identify yourself, some sort of form of identification.
Well, I'm just here to practice journalism. There's a demonstration here, and
we want to do this in a peaceful way. I don't want to escalate this with you at all.
Sir, I'm just standing on a street trying to do journalism. We saw what happened at Young Dundas the last couple of Saturdays, and it was disgraceful, to be honest. And I don't want to get to that either, but I'm just asking questions.
Okay, and you asked me a question, I answered it. You've been prohibited before from entering here. You entered again today after you've been told you can't come back. Okay, and you did.
Therefore, actually, we were never told that we couldn't come back.
That's something that I guess to deal with in court, wouldn't it be?
Okay, well, who was the individual that talked to you?
Can you get his name?
Okay. Wow, look at all this place. Well, sir, he's my cameraman. He has. We're just.
You were here last time. You were trespassed too.
This is the first time here, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to.
I have information otherwise.
Okay.
Okay. Did you enter the premise today?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
With David.
Yeah.
We went to politely ask if somebody would come on camera. Nobody opened the door, so we left. I don't know what the problem is. What? How is it? Down to, officer, in Justin Trudeau's Canada, that the Toronto Police Service, you know, the great Toronto Police Service is being used as what, the Praetorian Guard for the Trudeau Liberals? This is incredible. Okay. You know, officer, there is a crime being committed here. It's forcible confinement and kidnapping.
Your name, date of birth.
Okay, well, I'm not going to cooperate. I've done nothing. I am just practicing journalism here.
Well, you're going to get arrested then for failed to identify.
You're going
under the Trespass Property Act.
Well, my name is David Menzies. I'm with Rebel News. Here's my news flash.
Your date of birth and address.
Why do I have to give that information?
You're being charged with trespassing.
I'm being charged for being on a street.
Okay, sir.
You're
not being charged for being here. You're being charged for.
What about the people that are being held forcibly confined? This is like kidnapping.
Great work from David. Great work from Mocha. There's one more thing I want you to do, Justin, and then we're going to go straight to David. And I apologize. I've taken 15 minutes to clear my throat on this. Can you scroll back there to show that at the times in question here, David was actually standing on the public street. So it was about 90 seconds back in time. I don't know if you can scroll on the YouTube video, Justin, but there was where the camera pans to the left there. You can see that David is not on hotel property. He's actually, that's sort of a view, but there's another view where it goes to the left. So we go forward, more forward. Sorry, it was around there. He was talking to the cops and the camera goes to the left. Anyhow, I'm sorry. Perhaps people saw it in real time, but there's a moment where the camera points to the left significantly, and you can see that he is standing on a road, not the property of the hotel. So this is not like, there you go. Yeah, perfect. That's exactly the shot I was hoping for. Thank you. So you see that that's a public road. Thanks, Justin. Sorry for my ham-fisted instructions. Last point before we get David on. You saw that there was no one telling him to get off. You saw that the cop was fibbing or making up a false fact when he claimed that our cameraman had been there before. And I'll show you section 2(3) of the Trespass Act. Do you have that handy? I just want to tell you something about the Trespass Act of Ontario, a law under which David was charged today. There is, look at section 3 sub 2. So you can see it's called the Trespass to Property Act. Scroll down a little bit, section 3 sub 2. There is a presumption that access for lawful purposes, let me just tilt my glasses, to the door of a building on premises, can you just get rid of that highlight? By a means of, section 3, sub 2. There is a presumption that access for lawful purposes to the door of a building on premises by a means generally provided and used for the purpose of access is not prohibited. That's legalese for you can walk up to a front door if it's a door that is for the use of access that's not prohibited. You can go up to a door and knock on it. That's what David did. So there's a special exemption, implied permission to use the door. Do you see what that little section is called? Implied permission to approach to door. There is a presumption that access for lawful purposes, journalism is a lawful purpose, to the door of a building on premises by a means apparently provided and used for the purpose of access is not. So you are entitled to presume that if there is a front door, you may approach that door to knock on it. And yet today, David Menzies was accosted at his home and served with a charge. And he joins us now via Skype, and I thank you for being patient. David, sorry to keep you waiting. I wanted to show people the video in question. I wanted to touch on the fact that you were not told to leave. We showed video proof of that. Finally, I showed proof that you were standing on the public street. And lastly, I just quoted section 3 sub 2 of the Trespass to Property Act that specifically says you may approach a door of any building for a lawful purpose to knock on that door or to seek entry. That's a presumed not a trespass. And yet, tell me what happened to you not 15 minutes ago.
Well, Ezra, I guess I'm grateful for the Toronto police not coming to my residence at 4 in the morning. That's how it's done in communist countries, and I think the UK. So two officers came. One was the fellow, Officer Lee, that you saw on the video regarding our interaction at the Radisson Hotel on Dixon Road in Toronto. And they said they served me with this nice bright amber summons. There's no dollar amount on it, but it does say that I'm being charged with the Trespass to Property Act. And of course we'll fight it because that's who you are, Ezra. You don't bend the knee, and we are so grateful as rebels that we have an employer like you that doesn't bend the knee and doesn't hang his employees out to dry. So basically, I asked them the same questions I asked on the video, which is you're acting on basically a pack of lies, i.e., we were never told not to ever come back based on the first encounter in January by Jamie, who also lied about the fact that the hotel was under construction. You can clearly see by the absence of construction equipment and construction workers, that's not the case. And also, if there's a crime being committed here, well, what about all these people that are in the hotel, Ezra? I think under a falsehood that they must remain there. We know that from that fellow DeRay, who came back from Jamaica with his father in January, and anti-lockdown protester Chris Sky, if you can imagine, he broke him out of the Radisson. I know, and that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. And he basically arranged for an Uber to go there, pick him up. And the employees were stopped, halt in the name of law, halt under penalty of arrest. But nobody laid a hand on them. They just got into the Uber and drove off to their Toronto condo. So what I'm saying is that I think people are being intimidated. They are being actually lied to by people in positions of authority that they must stay in these quarantine hotels, and they're obeying those lies, thinking it's legit law, and I don't think it is.
Yeah. There are some people who believe that the government is not allowed to lie.
Yes.
There's some people who believe that police are not allowed to lie. Now, they're not allowed to lie under oath, but and I've talked about this before, sometimes it's appropriate for police to lie. Sometimes if your option is use a gun, use a taser, or use some words to get a criminal to stop doing it, use the words. Tell whatever story you have to tell to talk a guy down. You're in a hostage negotiation, lie, say anything. It's better than the alternative of a loss of life. But what's happening more and more often is police are being told to do non-police work, bizarre health board work, or I don't even know, private security work. They're not trained for it. They don't know the law. In this case, clearly he was lied to. Maybe he himself was a liar about you. I mean, we saw with our own eyes you were not told to leave. We saw with our own eyes you were not accosted by anyone at all as you properly entered the front door of a building that said hotel. It didn't say closed, no trespassing. There were no such signs. So do we have the footage that David recorded, Justin? No, we don't. So I presume you'll be making a video about the arrest, sorry, not the arrest, the incident of the two police coming to your home. Now, did they say anything to you other than here you go?
You know what, Ezra, I'll have to review the footage because I certainly don't want to put words in their mouth, but they were, they weren't very verbose, shall we say. They'd been served. And I do remember words to the effect of one of the officers, Officer Lee, saying that you are forbidden from going back to that property. And you know what? I'm going to obey that forbiddance. But I can tell you this, Ezra, I'm going to go back on Friday because I should tell the viewers that when those protesters showed up, that was a cosmic fluke. Mocha and I had been filming our airport report. We pulled over for a hamburger and we're in the parking lot. And I said, you know what, why don't we just do a little update on what's going on at the Radisson? Mm-hmm. And literally within a few minutes, protesters started showing up, and then I would say just as many police officers, because there were like about 8 cruisers, including a Ford F-250 Super Duty pickup truck. Start driving that. But and I am going to go back, but I'm going to stay on the public road, which is on the other side of that that barrier. And to add to your point, Ezra, is the Radisson Hotel even under government control via the taxpayer? Is it private property? Yes, of course it's private property, but a hotel like a shopping mall, like Eaton Centre, Yorkdale, those are private properties as well. Mm-hmm. Yet thousands of people, in normal times that is, would walk in without being accosted to do their shopping. The mall wants that. Yeah. So it's a big difference than if I went to your house and said, I'm just coming in right now. It's a different level of private.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a mall. It's a private property that is open to the public. The public is invited to come in to shop. A private mall owner can tell you, please get out. Even if you're in there lawfully, they can say, please leave. There are some restrictions to that. They can't do it for racist reasons, for example, and they can't do it for other human rights reasons, which is why kicking out mask-exempt people is probably illegal. But with a hotel, you say you're going to obey their command not to step on their property. I would like to have a lawyer review that first, because I think this entire thing might be fruit of a poisoned tree. I think this whole thing might be illegal. The police are engaging in serial misconduct against Rebel News and our reporters. As I mentioned to our viewers earlier, we just filed a lawsuit against the Toronto Police Service and 10 individual police officers who assaulted Mocha, Lincoln, and Efron. So I believe that there is a malicious vendetta against Rebel News. Justin, can you go on Twitter and go to TPS Operations? That's the Toronto Police Service Operations Twitter account, which basically is like listening to a squawk box of police chatter on the radio. And I should tell you that there have been 4 murders in 4 days in Toronto. Let's just scroll down sort of gently there, a little bit more. The chief is talking about Black History Month, because that's easier than talking about the crime wave. Let's just scroll down a little bit here. I just want to show people, okay, missing man, that's not a murder. But let's just look through it. Let's just look, I mean, just medical emergency. I love how they phrase that. You have to scroll down. They call it a medical emergency, up a little bit, sorry. Unconscious man located, serious injuries from gunshots. They don't call that a shooting. They call it, guys, we have a medical emergency. Yeah, you've got a medical emergency called a gangland shooting. So that was last night. Confirmed shooting, shell casings nearby. So I shouldn't laugh. And then 1 hour before that, person with a knife. And then scroll down. Stabbing. 4 hours before. Like, Toronto is a massacre. Good morning, everyone. Hey, the chief. Hey, chief, do you have anything for us? No? Okay. I mean, just absolute gong show shooting. Last night, just a few hours apart, we responded to 2 separate shootings. Good job, guys. Maybe take a couple hundred police off the mask beat. Unbelievable. So the police have time, and the reason I mention that, we're in a crime wave. Shootings have tripled under Toronto Mayor John Tory. I just showed you the Twitter feed of Toronto Police Operations. It's murder, stabbing, man with a gun, man with a knife. So many murders that they're overusing the word. They want to say medical emergency. No, that's a murder, boss. But they've got time to send 2 police officers up to your home, and you don't even live in Toronto proper, to give you a trespass ticket. That is not normal policing. That's a malicious vendetta, David.
100%. And, it's kind of perversely amusing that they're tweeting out Happy Black History Month when you go back to Queen's Park, where the anti-lockdown protesters show up, Ezra. And in the summer, you had far greater numbers, same place, same virus, same premier, same mayor, And what happened? We saw the members of the Toronto Police Service, as well as their then chief, bend the knee. So not only were they avoiding arresting anyone, but they were actually participating in the protests. And it was kind of funny because I think those protests were against the police. They wanted a defunding of the police, or even an abolition of the police. So the police were bending the knee against themselves. It didn't make sense. The second thing I want to point out, Ezra, you were very observant watching the footage of that Radisson Hotel. To the naked eye, that is a hotel open to the public. There's nothing unusual about that. There is no keep out, no trespassing. Trespassers will be charged. Nothing like that. You wouldn't know this is a cordoned off federal government quarantine facility by looking at it. So why don't they put up this signage as fair warning? If members of the public aren't welcome, well, state it.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to fight this in court. Obviously, this is a malicious prosecution. We're going to lawyer up. We'll probably say to the prosecutor, do you really want to take this gong show to a judge? Because if so, you will be humiliated. And prosecutors don't give a damn. They get paid either way. But the police will be humiliated when their gong show policing is brought before a judge. And I think they think we're scared of a ticket. And I don't think we are. I think that they ought to be scared about their abusive policing, their police brutality, their physical assaults on our reporters. And I think that going to the house of a reporter who was doing bona fide journalism and in the moment in question was standing on a public street, I think police who go to a private person's family home to serve them with a stupid ticket, why don't they just pop it in the mail? Because they want to intimidate you. All right, David, I'll let you go. I'm going to read some super chats now.
Thank you so much, Ezra. It was a pleasure, and you have a great day. I'll see you later.
You too. See you later. Well, that's our friend David Menzies. Police have discretion. Do you know what that means? That means they can use their judgment based on the facts in the moment. They can see a crime and say, in this moment, in this circumstance, it is not wise to address it because there's other larger issues. There's a bigger crime over there. I remember when I was in high school, a little fender bender, the police came over. Literally at the same moment, there was a big crash on the road. The cops said, you're a lucky day they left us. Like, that's police discretion. Sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. Sometimes a cop just has to make a call based on judgment, experience, wisdom, and instinct. Some knowledge that they have that we don't. Cops can use their discretion, and a good cop will use their discretion sometimes to build political capital with people. When a cop pulls you over for speeding and says, I'm going to let you go, but you got to promise not to do it and don't do that, not only do you feel relief, but you feel, all right, cops are good guys. Like that you build up a little bit of political capital. Maybe you recognize the cop later, and maybe you say, you know what, the cops are good guys. And I just got a break that maybe I didn't even deserve. And police can use their discretion. We see that most often, I think, with traffic tickets, because that's probably the primary way that ordinary people interact with cops. Now, in other communities where people walk and cops are on the beat, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I would imagine that there are a lot more other instances. But being friendly to people is also a source of intel. If you're in a neighborhood and people trust you, maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, there's something going on I want to tell you about. Don't mention my name, but I saw this. And it's important to have friendly relations with the community. And I'm not saying that the Toronto Police Service should try and be friends with Rebel News. Although, as David accurately points out, we are back the blue in the scheme of things, even though that's harder and harder to do all the time. But to imagine a cop twice driving all the way up to David's house. He doesn't even live in Toronto. He lives like 2 cities north. Twice now, yesterday, now and again today. That's all this Officer Lee has been doing for the last 2 days, trying to find David. Going to his personal house. I showed you all the murders in Toronto. Shooting, stabbing, man with a gun, man with a knife. Hey, let's take not one but 2 cops and find David Menzies, because he was reporting. And let's go to his home just to show the neighbors and show the wife and show the kids. Is that a good use of police discretion? Or is that part of a vendetta? Well, I'm speculating right now, but when we get Officer Lee into court, we'll ask him a lot of questions. I will do a proper video. I showed you on Monday that we're suing the Toronto Police Service and 10 officers for assault. Boy, I can think of better things to do with my time and money. People sometimes say, Ezra, you like conflict. I'm not conflict averse, let me put it that way. But if you think I come into work and say, I hope our reporters are given a hard time, you misunderstand our purpose. Our purpose at Rebel News, well, you can see it. It's news. If people are going to harass us, hassle us, attack us, assault us, you're damn straight we're going to push back. But I would prefer it. I mean, the other day, I'm going to read the super chats in 1 minute, I promise. The other day, David went up to the airport. Again, I think it's technically a private management firm that runs the airport, I think, but it's obviously open to the public and it's a key public institution. I don't even know if it's private or if it's meaningfully private. And reporters to the airport every day, there's a lot of news there. Politicians have press conferences there. Obviously with travel restrictions and whatnot, it is very much in the public interest. So David went up there and a bunch of the mall cops there told David to leave or he'd be trespassed and arrested. Peel Regional Police came, I think that's the police that were up there, and David called me right away. I went on Twitter, tweeted to the police, tweeted to the spokesman of the Greater Toronto Airport Authority, and I said, don't do this, use your judgment, don't violate his rights, he's just reporting, don't. I probably said it 20 times. Did I want another lawsuit against the Greater Toronto Airport Authority and Peel Regional Police? I did not. Am I happy they stood down and said, yeah, geez, I guess you have the right to be reported? You're damn straight I am. I did not want them arrested. I did not want them charged. I don't need that hassle. I'm busy. I don't need another $50,000 lawsuit. But you're damn straight. If you tell David Menzies and our cameraman they're not allowed to be at the airport to do their journalism, I will see you in court. I don't want to do that. But the Toronto Police Service, there's something broken there. There is something broken there. All right, let's get through these super chats. Victor Seri, $20. I was at the Social Services office in Kelowna to apply. Paladin Security would not let me in with my guide dog and I was taken down. What do I do? Well, I don't know what you mean by taken down. Do you mean physically taken down? Because that could well be an assault. One thing I like to do to private security is I like just to yank their chain a bit to let them know I know the law and I'm not going to be intimidated by a mall cop. Really, that's what Paladin Security, G4S, there's 4 of them that Trudeau has retained. They're mall cops. And they're governed by each province's Private Security Act. And by the way, I support the concept of security guards, night watchmen. I believe there's a place for mall cops. And I use the word mall cop derisively because these mall cops these days think that they are some sort of James Bond. They're getting very physical, very violent, and they are not cops, and they are often poorly trained. I have respect for the job of a security guard who is keeping a place secure. I think that's a very important job, actually. If you're a security guard protecting a physical place, a factory, an office, not only do I respect that job, but I like you for doing it. And it's a job with some risk, by the way. But what we see these days are security guards living on their fantasy of being physically violent enforcers of a public health law, like mask law. So one of the things I know under the Ontario law is to demand their name and to see their ID card. Because if a security guard, unless he's undercover security in a shoplifting scenario, but if there's a security guard who says, I'm security, say, show me your name and license. And if they don't, then they're violating the act and you can basically ignore them. I like to do things like that. And I, just because I don't want people to think they're my boss, unless they really are my boss. And if they physically assaulted you, then that's assault. and you can sue them for it. And I think you should. I don't know what you mean by taken down. Gabriel Mainville, $10. Ezra, do you want me to resubscribe to Rebel Plus? If you please, thank you. You can go to rebelnews.com and click subscribe. If you have a problem, if there's some technical problem, email info@rebelnews.com and we'll help you. You may have a technical problem if that's your meaning, and we'll help you with that. Nathaniel, $5. Hello, Ezra. Can I get your opinion on a group called World Doctors Alliance? Have you had any insight on their agenda, and can they be trusted? I have not heard of them, so I can't give you any opinion because I don't know any facts. Rebecca's channel, $5. Trudeau stole 2 million COVID vaccines from the poorest countries. Stealing medicine from poor African children breaks the record for worst human ever. I think you're talking about him reaching into the third world pool for vaccines because he bungled the acquisition. Technically, it wasn't a crime of theft, but it surely, I think I would agree with you, it's unethical. But more than that, it's just covering up his incompetence. But the Toronto Star had this huge attempt to say, oh, no, it's just really tough out there these days. It's very funny. I mean, who would have thunk a prime minister who's never actually done anything in his life can't do something in a tough time? Patriot Girl American, $10. As a deputy sheriff in the USA, these police should be ashamed of themselves. Please know that I shall not ever violate civil liberties. I work for you, and it's my job to protect the Constitution. Well, see, there you go. And that's I need to hear that because I get so down on cops. I get so down on them because every day I see the bad stuff. I'm so glad that you said that because I've got to stay balanced on this stuff. And it is very hard when they go to my reporters' houses at home, which is clearly an attempt to intimidate and embarrass. I got to stay positive. Brackathor, $5. If there was a law against cops lying to the public, something tells me that you personally would be facing less court cases with them, if any at all. When I say cops can lie to the public, it's a tool. Move along, you have to move. If a cop says you have to move, well, maybe you don't have to move, but maybe that cop, by saying that, is achieving a better outcome. The thing is, if you lie so much, people will start to think, oh, you're a liar. So one of the downsides of police lying is that they're drawing down the collective goodwill of the industry, of the profession, built up indeed over decades, even centuries. If it becomes known that police will lie to you to get you to do what they want, it should be used very sparingly. If it's just generally police are seen to be liars, it's going to corrode the reputation of the entire profession. Matt B300, hi Menzoid, you have a great man there, Ez. Yeah, David's doing great. Avery Thurman, $5. I'm a paid up member and I can't get into the Rebel website. I emailed contact@rebelnews.com with further details. Is that the right email for help? It probably is. Try info@rebelnews.com and I'll make sure that Andrew gets back to you. Kenneth Melnichuk, $7. I read a post on the JCCF website regarding suspension of mandatory 3-day hotel isolation. However, I'm unable to verify this on other websites. I believe they're right, and that's part of the point that David was making. The laws and the regs demanding people quarantine in these quarantine jail hotels, I don't think it's actually been promulgated, issued, proclaimed. I think it was just some stupid press conference that Justin Trudeau went off half-cocked again. But people are complying and cops are enforcing. User 4574, $10. Ezra, ever consider using Section 35C of the Private Security and Investigative Services Act? It would really be funny to see these rent-a-cops lose it on air. 35C, obviously I don't know that from memory, so I'm going to look at it really quickly. Wouldn't surprise me if that's the part where you say, show me your badge. Yeah, that's what I was just referring to, 35. Every person who is acting as a security guard or holding himself or herself out as one shall, on request, produce his or her license. That's exactly what I was talking about. And, you know, once they show it to you, they can get back to their business as a security guard, but they have to show it, and they often don't because they're embarrassed. Well, then buzz off. You have no authority in any way. In fact, you could lose your license. If you don't show your license, you could lose your license. Isn't that funny? Fraser McBurney, $20. What is happening in the Middle East? The UAE has launched a satellite to land on Mars. On Tube, there are ads inviting us to Saudi Arabia with a tone of welcome. Could it be the peace is breaking out? Thank you, Mr. Trump. President Trump, I think you're exactly right. I'm shocked. My brother actually lives in Israel, and he told me he went to the United Arab Emirates, and he was somewhat trepidatious about the whole thing. But he says he was blown away by the hospitality and the genuine friendship and warmth. And I don't want to speak for him, but it sounded like his whole worldview had been altered by that genuine warmth of peace and prosperity. And I don't know, it makes me very excited. And when all these travel bans are done, I would like to do a rebel trip. We used to do a lot of trips. I'd like to do a rebel trip to Tel Aviv and Dubai. Wouldn't that be fun? I'm just daydreaming about when the travel bans are lifted, as if that'll ever happen in my lifetime. Jew, $5. Can Canada be revived, or do we all book one-way trips to Florida? Well, that's the thing. I mean, everyone's moving to the unlocked down states. Although I have to give California credit. It looks like Gavin Newsom will hit the threshold to be recalled in a vote. Now, I don't know if he'll survive, but it looks like they'll have enough votes to recall the guy. Travel Cat Scribe. We're at 1 o'clock, but do we have time to keep going and finish these off? Yeah. $25. Can we find out the name of the CBC cameraman who held the Barrie kid while the cop was assaulting him? Letter of complaint needs to be filed. Yeah, I saw that on Canada Land. Can you call that up? Yeah. If you go to the Canada Land Twitter account, they name the CBC employee who apparently is also a cop. How do you do that? How are you a reporter and a cop? And you're wearing your CBC jacket, and you help a cop subdue? Like, how does that work? How does that work? Well, it works very well when you realize that the CBC is the state broadcaster. Then it all makes sense. I met the state broadcaster. There we go. The CBC confirms to us that the man in this video helping Barrie police officer Jason Stamp hold down the skateboarder, Skylar Kent, is a CBC Radio Canada employee and a volunteer auxiliary member of the OPP. And I think somewhere around this, I saw the name of the guy. Maybe scroll down. Do we have the name of the CBCer? We won't say anything more. Unidentified camera operator. Anyhow, really, really weird. I didn't know cops were working. Like, if you were asked a question by a reporter, would you answer differently if you knew it was a cop asking you the same question, just pretending to be a reporter? I sure would. Never trust the CBC. I mean, do you need to hear that again? Never trust the CBC. While we have cops going to our reporters' homes to threaten them and intimidate them, they're actually giving cops media credentials, and the odd time a cop needs to help throttle a skateboarder, he'll do it. Even if he's wearing a CBC jacket. Unbelievable. Webley Pug, $20. And then Carla Evers, $25. And Rosita Rendon, $50. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. Lou Elaine, $5. David and Mocha. And Ezra and Justin for bringing us info about this horrific situation. You're all the best. Well, thank you. Chris Lynch, $2. Just tuned in. Have you heard about Pierre Poilievre? In fact, I have. I'm going to do my show about it tonight because it's already 1:03, so I don't want to open up a new can of worms. Aaron O'Toole, you know this quiz I've been asking you for like a month? Can you name the Conservative Party's health critic? No, you can't. Can you name the Conservative Party's defense critic? No, you can't. Foreign critic? No, you can't. Energy critic? Transport critic? No, you can't. The only person anyone seems to be able to name is Pierre Poilievre, because he's just killing it as finance critic. And I think some of the credit for the defenestration of Bill Morneau, the firing of Bill Morneau, some of the credit goes to Pierre Poilievre. Not all of the credit, but I think a healthy amount of credit. He did very well in the We Charity committee interrogations. Very well. And Pierre makes news all the time by virtue of his smarts and his communication skills and his conservative beliefs. He makes news in a positive way. Any conservative news MP can make news in a negative way. Just talk to the CBC, they'll find something on you. As Barry has said, show me the man and I'll tell you the crime. The CBC can make a bad story out of any conservative MP. But only Pierre Poilievre can make a good story on his own strengths, and the media grudgingly covers it because it's a good point. Can you name a single other critic in the Conservative Party of Canada besides Pierre Poilievre? Can you think of another Conservative critic in memory who has taken out a cabinet minister of the first rank? Can you name another Conservative critic who can get his message out by the sheer force of his communication and his strength and, frankly, his charisma? No, you cannot. Which is precisely why Aaron O'Toole sacked him. I mean, hey, there can only be one sun in the sky, and his name's Aaron O'Toole. And if you don't think that's true, we'd better snuff out the brighter candle. Have to snuff out the brighter candle, because it's funny. Lincoln was said to have had a cabinet of rivals. Think about that. People warring against each other. They were in his cabinet, and that jostling, he managed to harness it. Even Stephen Harper. He had Peter MacKay. He had all these rivals, but he managed it. And it, I think, was a source of strength for him. And Harper never minded when people got ink. Stick to your jurisdiction, stick to your department, and Pierre does. Aaron O'Toole sacked Derek Sloan. Aaron O'Toole sacked Pierre Poilievre. Aaron O'Toole doesn't do well with people who shine brightly. He's shrinking the party. You lose Pierre Poilievre, you lose your one performer. Let's finish up the Super Chats. J3 Sobieski, $5. Do you think the media campaign against General Vance is connected to him canceling Chinese military exercises last year? Never thought of that. Could well be. Could be, but the timing seems off. Victor Sari, $5. Yes, it took 3 mall cops to take me down and send me away. They would not give me any information. Well, what we say to everybody is catch what you can on video, because that way we understand what happened and we have proof of what happened. It's not a he said, she said. Andrew Moore, $7. Para-character lying on his side, raising his arm out, saying, how's it going? Andrew's going okay. It's going okay. I hear we got a nice lunch coming in today. It's been on my mind. And so that's on my mind. The news of the day, saving the world, fighting for David in court, freeing the Western world, and lunch. Those are the two things I can juggle in my mind at the same time. Randy Smith, $5. Awesome Justin guitar, please. There you go. I donate $5 for every flying guitar. I believe in Rebel News. Thank you, Randy. You know what? We're coming up on our 6th anniversary. I can't even believe it. If it was a person, it would be going into grade 1. It's not even a toddler anymore. Steve Brush, $21. Thanks, Steve. That's very nice. Well, did I cover all the Super Chats? Did I cover them off? Okay, I think there's one more. Yeah, I did read that one. Well, let me close this way. Again, I had a whole page of things I was going to talk about, but literally a moment before we went live, David texts me and says that the cops come to his house. So we had a good chat with him. I'm mad. Do I have the right to be mad? What do you think, Justin? Am I too mad? Let me ask you, Justin. If cops went to the home of a CBC reporter, would we hear about that? I think so. Like there would be a whole thing about it. Like it would be this cause celeb. You would see civil rights professors. You'd see the Civil Liberties Group. You'd see the Canadian Association of Journalists saying this is an outrage against profession. You'd say the Canadian Journalists for Free Expression. There's such a thing, believe it or not. You'd see PEN Canada, Amnesty International, Reporters Without Borders. You'd probably see a bunch of law professors write a joint letter and publish it in the Star. You'd probably give that reporter some sort of award. He'd be invited to be a guest lecturer at Ryerson School of Journalism. You would have all the fancy people tweeting solidarity with him. He'd get his own hashtag on Twitter. Twitter would make sure it was trending. I mean, I remember when Fahmy, F-A-H-M-Y, it was his first name, who was a reporter who was caught in Egypt. That's his first name, Mohammed Fahmy. Egyptian-born, lived in Canada for a moment. I think he went to Al Jazeera and he was arrested during the riots in Egypt, I'm going from memory, with a drone. And the police said, this isn't just journalism, this is you're part of the riot or whatever. And Al Jazeera, of course, was an arm of the Qatari foreign. not up to speed with my facts, it was years ago. So he was in a revolution, in a riot. He was arrested and later let go. He was turned into like a saint. He's got a foundation. He was appointed to everything. And I'm not comparing police going to David Menzies' house to police arresting Mohammed Fahmy in Egypt. But so let me give a more quantitatively equal comparison. When a reporter on the street gets the F her right in the P insult, someone walks by, everyone, it's like a drunk guy sports thing. Oh my God, it's top of the news, everyone commiserates, and sometimes the police arrest the guy for like a heckled swear by someone who usually runs by or drives by. So there's this national solidarity movement amongst people in the craft defending one of their own, if it's like a heckle. But cops going 2 days in a row to David's home, nothing. The comparison with Fahmy isn't right, because Fahmy was actually put in jail. But David himself was arrested and put in a police car, not a peep from any other journalist. And by the way, the story that David was covering is quarantine jails, COVID jails. Look, they're not even interested in that story. In fact, the CBC said that's a disinformation story. The same CBC that has cops on staff. That's a new one. If next time you see a CBC reporter, you don't know if it's a reporter or a cop ready to jump out and, like 21 Jump Street or something. Travis Colson, $7, just wanted to say hi to CNN and CBC. This is independent journalism. People pay to watch and listen. Thank you, Travis. All right. Let me close how I opened. We're going to fight. Don't go to my journalists' homes and threaten them. Don't do it. We're going to fight. Don't touch my people. Don't assault them. We're going to fight. And when I say fight, I mean fight you in court in a way you've never fought before. We're going to go through every scrap of disclosure. We're going to go through every email, every message you've sent or received, every briefing note. And we're going to get to the root of it in a way you never thought would happen for a $75 trespass ticket. You will say, this doesn't make sense. These guys are fighting for weeks, for months, for years over a traffic ticket level offense that was $75. I can assure you lawyers are more than $75 per hour. The cops are going to say, what is happening here? This is not normal. And the answer is, you're right. It's not normal. Because freedom is our middle name. And if you come for our reporters with abusive policing, you will learn that. I just find it so sad that the young man who in 1999 was so pro-police, he was actually in his mind trying to rationalize an act of police brutality. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you what I did. I was a teenager. I just was so pro-cop, it was crazy. That young man has been turned into a skeptic shows how, I don't think I've changed. Maybe I have. How can you not change from 17 to 48? But I can tell you, if you touch my people, if you come to their homes, if you embarrass them in their homes, if you ticket them for doing journalism, you will not have the last word. All right, my friends, I gotta go. I gotta do other things. Justin, thanks for setting up that Skype thing. Thanks for doing all the stuff. Thanks everybody for the super chats. I just see a tweet that says hungry for a Rebel Bacon Cheeseburger. And before we go, I want to show that. In Big Valley, Alberta, there's a diner that's opening in defiance of the lockdown. And Sheila was there. So they had a Rebel burger. Let me read the tweet. That's from Sheila. The Big Valley Inn has put a special Rebel burger on the menu in honor of my visit here today. And they received a summons to appear in court for defying the lockdown. I can't wait to help them through Fight the Fines. And then can you click on that there? So Big Valley, I don't think I've been there, and I regret that. Cream of broccoli soup sounds good because it's really cold out there. Like I'm not even kidding, minus 30, minus 40 kind of cold. Like cold that we in Toronto rarely know. hot hamburger sandwich. That's one of those they pour the gravy right on top. That's what that is. With mashed or fries and veg, soup and salad, $12.95. That's a bargain. At least out here in Toronto, where it would be like $21.95. But look at the next one. Rebel Bacon Cheeseburger with soup or fries or salad, $10.50. That sounds like a good value. I mean, I'm not a big bacon guy, but you're darn straight. I'd probably say, hey, can you just put in an extra leaf of lettuce in there or pickles or something? I would absolutely have the Rebel Cheeseburger. I'd go with the fries. Would you go with the fries, soup, or salad? Fries, yeah. And then grilled beef and Swiss sandwich. Looks like $10.45 if I'm reading that right. I tell you one thing, you're not leaving the Big Valley Inn hungry. You are not leaving hungry. I got to get out there. I saw Sheila at the Whistle Stop diner in Mirror. Oh, this is another menu. Oh, isn't a portion of all burger sales will be donated to Fight the Fine Stock? That's amazing. I didn't notice that. And Sheila says the Rebel Burger was delicious. 10 out of 10 do recommend. Big Valley Inn is my kind of place. It's like a pro rodeo museum, and the staff are freedom fighters. They've received a lockdown ticket, and we're helping them fight the fines. And Justin, I don't know if you've seen our Calgary lawyer yet. Have you seen him? Chad Williamson? He looks, see if you can Google it. Chad Williamson, lawyer, Calgary. I talked to him a couple times now. He's great. He's great. He loves to fight for freedom, and he looks a little bit like a cowboy himself. Let's take a look. Yeah, now that's him looking all boardroom fancy, big towers downtown, Your Honor this, Your Honor that. But can you type in his name in the Google images? Because I saw him on the Skype machine. He got them mutton chops going. He's ready to duke it out. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to get that video lined up. Most of the photos are pretty professional, you're saying. You're saying a professional looks professional. That's what you're saying. Okay. Well, he sure felt like a freedom-fighting, rootin'-tootin', Calgary stampeding, rodeo cowboy lawyer to me when I talked to him. And I think he is a perfect fit for Fight the Fines. And I hear he also has a musical touch. Do you know that? Do you know that about? Well, throw something on the internet so we can just take a little look-see while you're looking. And we'll be out of here in 2 minutes. Don't you worry, everybody. You want that doggy video. Oh, look at that one on the top right with that lawyering scarf necktie business there. So he's a lawyer. But who's that on the road? What? I think he's a bit fancy. Anything else? Is that it? I think he makes music videos. All right, I'll put that aside. I'll come back more prepared. This is sort of stream of consciousness right now, as some may have detected. Let's call her a day. Thanks, everybody. You can see I'm a fan of Chad Williamson. He's fighting for freedom every day. We're going to end with some dog videos as curated by Justin. As I say before, I have not seen these videos before. I see them the same time you do. So I'll say goodbye. I'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. at my premium show on Rebel News Plus. Until then, here's the dog video.